Okay, everyone swarmed? All very physical. Okay, I'd like to welcome to the stage, already up the stage, we've got Annalisa Blue from the United States, and Annalisa is from Corporate News, General Motors in the US, and she has a longer title which should rather be shortened for it. And Andrea Matthews, who's Corporate Affairs Manager, South Australia, and Social Media Lead with Holden in Australia. So welcome, ladies. Thank you. Annalisa's come all the way just for tonight. Thank you. Now I'll start with you, Annalisa. Can you tell us a bit about yourself, and when did you join General Motors, and how long have you had social media responsibilities within the company?
Sure. First, definitely want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I'm a participant of the Social Media Club in Detroit, and it's so awesome to see, around the world, every country that I've been to so far, there's a social media club in most of the cities, but this is the first time I've had an opportunity to meet with other people in a city that's not my own, but it feels just like home. I think that's one of the great things about social media, is that we're all addicted to Twitter or Foursquare or Facebook and can relate, even if we don't know anybody. Like our host said, my name is Annalisa Esposito Bloom. I've been with General Motors for, going on 5 years in October. Before working with General Motors, I worked for an IT firm in Detroit, mostly doing search engine optimization and wiki pages before most people knew what wiki pages were, and selling that to clients. Then had an opportunity to work for General Motors as an intern in a plant. Not really social media related at all, but I found a way to work that into the environment. Because in my mind, social media is more than something we do with our thumbs or at a keyboard. It's a frame of mind. And was able to put that into every role and responsibility that I had until they finally put me on the social media team. And at that time that I was asked to be on the team, we went through one of the hardest phases of our corporation, which in the US we went through and filed Chapter 11. So I was responsible for the social media strategy behind our Chapter 11 filing and global placement of that message. From there, I was asked to then take my experience on the road, and since January, I've been traveling to a different country about every 7 to 10 days, helping our teams understand more about social media, not just within the PR department, but what that means for customer relationships, what that means for marketing, what that means for digital advertising. So I think this is country number 12 since January. And I'm happy to share with you any learnings that I've had from my travels within Asia, the Middle East, India, Africa, and Latin America. And then also to share some experience being from way across the pond in good old Detroit. So again, thanks for having me, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. And this is Andrea, by the way.
Thanks, okay. My name's Andrea Matthews. I'm the Corporate Affairs Manager for Holden in South Australia, based at the Elizabeth Manufacturing Plant. Been with Holden just coming up to 4 years. Previous to that, spent a year in state government. And my background is in PR consultancy in the UK. Also spent some time working in the video games industry in the UK. And so, 10 years ago or so, was just when we were starting to work with online communities. So it's interesting to now be able to apply some of the learnings that came from that role at Codemasters, and look at what similarities there are and how we can work with online communities in the automotive industry.
Excellent. Now, Annalisa.
Yes.
In 2005, you were vice chairman of General Motors, a guy called Bob Lutz. He started blogging under the banner Fast Lane. What has General Motors been doing at the moment? What are some examples of the work, and what are some tactics that you found that spring to mind that are working better than others?
Sure. I think that's a fantastic question. And a lot of the sessions that we start off, even with our global teams, have to do with, all right, we need to start a blog. Bob Lutz started with a blog. Fastlane was one of the first corporate blogs out there. And it was very successful at the time because it was Bob Lutz sharing his opinion in his own Bob Lutz way. And so if you've read the blog, you know that Bob Lutz is known as a guy who will tell it like it is. And that's what made the blog, that's what gave it its soul. Once we started trying to incorporate other voices, once we tried to make it something for everybody, the blog itself kind of lost its soul. So we instead are now focusing away from a traditional one-voice blog and doing more social interaction. And so that includes two-way conversations on tools like Facebook and Twitter, but now also taking these experiences that we have online and doing more social events offline, and then giving you a way to take these experiences that you have with us. So going to a tweet up like this one, and maybe instead of, aside from talking about General Motors, maybe we have some cars out front and we're taking photos and tweeting with you while we're here with you, and encouraging you to include us in your discussion, by sharing my tweet. Anyone who gets a card tonight, you'll have my Twitter name, and then you'll have @GMBlogs. So social media, again, is more than just this one-way distribution network, or this way to have a conversation on a limited scope on Facebook, where you have to be my friend on Facebook or identify that you like the page. Let's take it a step beyond. With mobile devices, as you see right now, everybody is online, right? So our offline life and online life are joining. So how can we as a brand make it relevant? So instead of doing, again, the one-way conversation, which would be like a blog or an identity, let's use tools like Facebook, Twitter. Let's also use tools like Foursquare, which I think is an incredible opportunity for us as a brand, not only automotive, but in any industry, and relate to people where they are, and then give a place to share that. So I think that's been our best practice so far, and we've been talking a lot about that this week with the Holden team. How do we build communities and leverage communities that already exist on and offline, and have it make sense?
Might just say at this point, if you're tweeting, you can also ask a question. We have Nikki Valentine down here checking with the hashtag SMCMelb. So if you've got a question, hashtag it SMCMelb, and hopefully we can pick it up and ask the girls the question. Andrea, I read the other day where Holden in Australia had dabbled for a little while in social media, and about this time last year, or about May last year, there was a bit more of a concerted effort to put together more of a social media strategy. So what happened? Was there a catalyst that that said we have to pull this all together, or was it not working before, or what? Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, I think we've done a lot of work the previous couple of years in terms of identifying where our online communities were, but really hadn't put a concerted effort around reaching out to those communities. And so what we wanted to do, and we had a pretty clear direction from GM that social media should be a big focus of what we do as communications professionals. So we kind of took a harder look at where our communities were online, where they were talking about our products and our brand, and began to put some strategies around how to reach out to those communities, but also making sure that our presence in the key forums, so Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, reflected the importance of those communities and those platforms. And we've done a lot of work over the last couple of months in terms of giving them the same look and feel, so that they've got the same look and feel, so that they've got some consistency. Yeah.
Just veering into Facebook for a moment. I think in the US you have something like 150,000 fans, I think I read.
I think that's
about that.
about
And
right.
in Australia you've got about 40,000. Yeah. Is there anything that you've done only on Facebook that's resonated? Any particular type of promotion that's really captured the attention of consumers? That was a question without notice, of course.
Yeah.